Okay, well that's him. The other side of the thing, Calzaghe, of course, he's seen it all before.
Yeah, and we were talking today and just earlier about how the two of them looked as if they were really enjoying this part of the build-up. For some fighters, this is really uncomfortable, but they looked as if they really wanted to be there today. And I remember back, as I was looking at Joe, really revelling in what was going on today. Back in April of last year, he fought Peter Manfredo, the man from The Contender, and he's since said it was a fight that he could not get himself up for. And I happened to arrive at the press conference in Cardiff at the Hilton Hotel at the same time as he did. And I just said, "How you doing, Joe?" And he said, "Oh, geez, here we go again. I'm fed up with these things." And he was clearly bored. But today, it was very different. And he was telling me how it's so important to be sharp, not just on fight night, but for these occasions as well.
Yeah, well, I've seen Hopkins in press conferences in the past, so I knew he'd be pretty colourful. I'm pretty surprised I got as many words as I did, to be honest. He likes to sound with his own voice, and thank God he doesn't fight as good as he talks. Otherwise, I won't be going to America. He talks a good fight, and that's what it's all about. He's a promoter as well, so he has to promote the fight. He realises, you can listen to him talk, he's confident, but he realises how hard this fight is. And I realise it's going to be a hard fight. Hard thing for me as well also is me going to America for the first time. Fighting in somebody else's backyard, out my own comfort zone, and fighting with American judge, American referee. So I'm not naive. I realise what situation it is there. So unless I thought I could go out there and dominate Hopkins, not just beat him, I wouldn't go, because it's not about just going for a payday for me. It's about keeping my undefeated record and retiring undefeated. One of the only few elite fighters to ever do that. And I give myself a goal this year of 2 fights, like I've told you before. This one and one more, and I'm going to retire regardless. So yeah, I think I'll dominate Hopkins. He talks. He's never beat. I know he's beaten 11 southpaws. He talks about Winky Wright. He talks about Antonio Tarver. But believe me, he's not been in the ring with Joe Calzaghe yet, and you'll realise that on the night.
You spent time with Ricky Hatton before and after his fight against Mayweather in Vegas. Did you talk at all about how to behave in fight week? Because clearly Mayweather was trying to get under Hatton's skin, and maybe the way Hatton did the slit throat gesture at the press conference, which was very unlike him, maybe Mayweather did get to him.
Possibly, yeah, possibly, but it's easy.
Is that something you've got to guard against?
Yeah, you've got to guard against it, but it's easily said. Like, similar to me, Ricky is very down to earth, pretty humble guy, doesn't really want to go slagging people off. So it's very easy for somebody who keeps on nagging and disrespecting to get into your skin. It's very difficult, it's very easy to let it get to you, because you take things personal. I say I can deal with it, but hey, it's 10 weeks to go. But like maybe a couple of years ago I wouldn't. I think I'm 36 in March. I think I've seen it all. Things used to get to me a bit more than they do now. Now I'm relaxed, I'm chilled out. I know what his game is. I know what he's trying to do, and I know what his game is. He's 43. I've been boxing longer than this guy. I've been boxing for 25, 26 years. I had more fights than this guy, done more rounds than this guy, and I'm more intelligent than this guy. So I'll let him play the thing, let him keep going, keep talking, and that's good. Do the promoting. Makes more money for me, more money for him. But like I said, come fight night, I'm gonna just, what can I say, smash him up. Route 1, that's what's happening.
Route 1, as he calls it, Mark, and in many ways you saw there, Joe, Mike's already mentioned the fact that they were looking across at each other, and there is a great deal of respect, and there's an awful lot of similarities in their careers, and in fact in their lifestyles, apart from Hopkins' penitentiary lifestyle. They both lead very, very low-key lives. They both go to bed early. They both live outside of cities. They concentrate on their kids. They box. They train all of the time. They never get out of condition. And they both struggled to gain respect. And they both regained respect, as Bernard Hopkins mentioned, slightly later in their respective careers. Now the big difference is Joe's interpretation of what will happen in the ring and Bernard's interpretation of what will happen in the ring. Now I've spent 2 days with Hopkins, 3 hours this morning at a photo shoot and about 3 or 4 hours yesterday taking him around London and at his hotel, and I honestly truly believe that he thinks that Calzaghe's people, and Calzaghe and Enzo and Frank Warren, have seriously underestimated what's left of Hopkins' talents, because Hopkins insists there has been no erosion. Forget 42, 43 years, forget 51 fights, forget 20 years, forget the 4 years in prison. Hopkins insists that right now he's at what he would classify as a peak.
Okay, so as we move towards Las Vegas, April 19th, of course it is, Which way are you deciding this one might go already, Mike?
Well, at the moment, I'm quite strongly behind Calzaghe, but I do think that what he was saying there in that last answer will be a key, and I do think that Ricky Hatton was making the same kind of sentiments at the same kind of time, and it's very difficult to know what to expect come fight week in Vegas, and I'm sure it took Hatton by surprise, because that slit throat gesture that I mentioned there was so un-Hatton-like, and I'm pretty sure that Mayweather went away that day and said, I've got him at last. And maybe Hopkins will turn on Calzaghe again. Yes, there was a lot of respect there today, but I think that might change yet again. There are going to be more head-to-head meetings between now and the fight, and Hopkins is a master at this, and it is the first time that Calzaghe is fighting in the States. The jet lag, the different conditions, the different gym, wandering around with different bags to hit. It's some things as simple as that can play on the mind, and that's where Joe has got a mountain to climb. If this were in Wales, for me he'd be a long odds-on shot, but the venue brings them closer together.
And what's interesting, Mike, is that Joe is acknowledging that perhaps I'll lose my head. I don't think I will, but perhaps I will. Whereas Ricky, under no circumstances, never, ever, ever, gun to his head, ever acknowledged that he might lose his calm and his cool. So that puts Joe, in many ways, Mike, one step in front of Ricky at this
maybe
stage.
having learned from Ricky, yeah.
Definitely learned.
Well, let's hear from Ricky now, actually.